Hey everybody, let me know if you hear, it's time to hear, echo, alright, echo, alright, echo, alright, echo, okay, now, echo, okay, now, echo, okay, at least we hear something. Sounds like? Yeah, still. I have the air conditioning turned on. Let me know if it bothers you and let me know if it bothers you. Okay, you can do a remix. Okay. So, echo still. Oh, better hardware. Hi Joe. We have a superstar here, you know? Say hello to Joe. Echo still. Let me fix it. Okay. Now we should be able to have a stream video. Tell me that I fix it. Tell me that I fix it. Still the echo? No? Still the echo? No? Okay, you can do a remix of Hey Joe. Not the Jimmy Edits version. Okay. Now? Echo again? Fixed. Okay. Was a stupid knob in my mixer. Alright. Please let me know the conditioner if I have to turn it down. I hope not, because it's hot here. We have like, let me see. Now we have 24 degrees. Okay. Condition isn't bad. Alright, so let's do a quick recap of the last stream and we can start do some memory clocking. We have as well Joe, that I'm sure that he will give us some very nice information since he did an amazing job. The view of me bigger. Here we go. I'm big enough? Much better. Okay. Alright. So, first, well, I restart the system and I'll show you something in the BIOS. Because the main issue we had the last time was that the motherboard was unable to post and train the memory at the speed that I want. And because of a bug. Every time I was setting the voltage, it was the, let's say, the running voltage, but the boot voltage was fixed at 1.2 volts. So every time I set something, the motherboard was in the post, the voltage goes down to 1.2 and I had no post. So the first thing I had to do was check the post voltage and manually set it to 1.3, 1.5, whatever. So now you see the BIOS. 1/4 of the screen, please. So you mean, yep, but more. And you cannot see anything then. So let me show you. The thing you need to change, at least now with this crappy BIOS, is this one. DRAM boost VBoot. So this was the primary issue I had the last time. So because of these settings in auto, I wasn't able to boot. So now with this BIOS, if you set 1.45 in the normal settings, you have to set 1.45 in the DRAM VBoost voltage. This is the first issue I had. Ryzen DRAM calculator I tried. Actually, it was the first thing I tried, but unfortunately that was another point of issue because I saw that if I touch the sub timings manually, everything is going to be a mess and is not going to boot. So let's start again from scratch. So first issue is the boot voltage. So in this case I have BDI, a good kit of BDI, and I want 1.45. First thing. Then there's something that I still need to figure out, is that if I change the frequency here, let's say 3.2, and I set this frequency that should be 1600, for some reason when I boot it doesn't go this way, it just happen a mess. Let's try. So everything manual, 14, 14, 14, 14, 34 and 94. Let's start like this. Yes, I usually do everything manually, but too much, because last time, at least with the previous generation and with the same board, same BIOS that I checked last week with the 2700X, I was able to set everything manually. Also the subtimings that I work a lot of hours, and it was perfectly for the 2700X. When I plugged in the new Ryzen with my profile, it didn't work. I tried to rework on that profile, change the timings and everything, and it wasn't working at all. So basically I had to set on auto all the subtimings and work only with the primary timings. And see, we don't have boot. So I just set frequency 3200 MHz, the Infinity Fabric at the rated speed at default. It doesn't work. So this is one issue that I still have to figure out. And now, okay, we have C5. We have C5 postcode, which is related to memory training. So now I have to clear CMOS. And now I show you something that is definitely interesting, because I was about to give up. Yes, I know. My goal was to set 1-to-1. So 3200 MHz memory, so 1600, and 1600 the fiber clock. It doesn't work that way. Okay, so well, give me a tip if you know how this works, because I still have to figure it out. I have a workaround, so now I'll show you what I'm doing. And Joe, if you have something to tell me, maybe we can do the thing quickly. Oh yes, of course. It's for sure, of course. So I think he was responding on somebody in the chat. Okay, so we are in the boot again, BIOS. This time I want to show you something different. So I reset. I set the XMP profile or DOCP. In this case, well, I have a very interesting kit of memory, but let's go in like this. Everything on auto. Our little voltage here, 1.45, and boot. What I'm going to show you now is, even if you have 4 GHz memory, you are going to have the Infinity Fabric very low, and it's performing way worse than with the memory at lower frequency. And I think here probably there will be people that buy expensive memory kit to run at 4 GHz, 4.2 with memory, hoping that they have amazing performance, and then was exact the opposite. So everything is on auto. Okay, so Now, okay, you see the screen. See, we have the memory at 4 gigahertz, and you will say that is amazing, no? I have the memory at 4 gigahertz, but the thing that is important is here. The Infinity Fabric is at 1 gigahertz, way below that what it should be. So, since now we have a lot of World of Warcraft people in here, I'm going to show you something as a comparison. One second, then I log in into my account and I want to show you my personal data. So this now we start and we have like a reference number, and then we do Aida, we do benchmarks, Cinebench, whatever, but I want to also to show you in game what memory matters. Mostly because, you know, World of Warcraft is a nasty game for the CPU. Yes, we will do Aida cache test. I want to show you something. Let the game run a bit and I can read the chat. Yes, after this benchmark I will do Aida, maybe a Cinebench or whatever you want, and then we see the changes in Aida and in game, so you can see how the FPS is impacted by the memory. And actually you will see later from 3200 MHz to 3600 MHz the jump is big. Yes, I think 3800 in this motherboard. I don't know if I think it. I don't think it worked, because I tried before and I think 3733 was nice, and then when I jumped over 3733 I have no boot, because I have also an issue. I was able to overclock the memory with this motherboard only via Ryzen Master, because if I touch anything in the BIOS, it doesn't reflect that in the system. So I can set like 3600 MHz C14, I go into the BIOS and I see like 3800 with the Infinity Fabric at 1 GHz, something really weird. So if I use Ryzen Master, for once it works. If I use the BIOS, disaster. So this is probably a bug that they need to resolve. So for me at least, then we can try to fight a bit this BIOS. But I saw that this BIOS is completely random. You set something and what you get is completely different, so it's useless. One major issue that I have in Ryzen Master, well, it works because I can set everything in Ryzen Master. The problem is that I have a cap in the memory voltage at like 1.34, so I cannot push too much from Ryzen Master because I cannot raise the voltage, and I can achieve pretty nice speed, like I'm 4 GHz now at 1.34 volt. I'm using a hell of a kit, but this is a workaround, but it's a limited workaround. I cannot do like extreme overclocking like this because I cannot set voltage. If I try Asus Turbo V, it doesn't work at all. It doesn't change the multiplier. I can change the voltages, so I'm very limited. But for today, like benchmarking, see the latency is fine. Csgo. Well, I have to install Steam, I think. No, I mean, LN2 mode is to set voltages over 2 volts, but now I'm asking like 1.4 and I cannot have it, even 1.4, so now with the LN2 mode I can do everything here, except, well, without LN2 mode I'm limited at 2 volts, but honestly I need way less for this test. I can activate LN2 mode, but it doesn't change anything. the problem is Ryzen Master that doesn't give me the control to set the memory at more than 1.34 volts, which is like hilarious. So first benchmark. For who doesn't know this is /timetest1. When I type this and I take a route, what happens is the rain effects, so the weather, turned off. The monster respawn, turned off. The player respawn is turned off. So everything I do from this point, which is the lower point in Kultiras to one of the upper point in Kultiras, is the same. Every run is exactly the same. So this benchmark is very accurate. Okay, in the meantime, let's read a bit of chat. If I set the voltage in BIOS and then I go in Ryzen Master to change the timings, automatically I have to change the voltage set in Ryzen Master. So the problem is, I do everything in the BIOS with the voltage. I go in Ryzen Master, I change the timings, I change the speed of memory, and I had to change, I'm forced to change the voltage because it's in the same tab. So now we can try to find a workaround. I saw something in the BIOS that maybe can help this situation, but I'm not sure. So we are going to check it together. So another thing, I have to ask you a favor. There's a user that asked me to be very specific and tell by voice what is going on. So if I'm failing to do so, please write me in the chat. It's very important. I make a promise. So I have to explain what is happening, the FPS, the number, everything. So if you feel that I'm missing to do that, please spam in the chat. So now in a minute you will see the FPS. So we can take note of the FPS. Let me bring this. So we can track the progression. You know, World of Warcraft is an old game. Everything, but for single core gaming performance is the best benchmark you can find because it's mainly single threaded. And I forgot to put the afterburner, but I will bring the RTTS on so you can see if it's CPU limited or not. You're already going? Well, see you, Joe. Thanks for visiting, and well, we see in your stream soon. And by the way, go subscribe to the Joe's channel. He's doing amazing things, especially with Ryzen, with Intel, but he can overclock everything. So go there and subscribe to his channel. No, GPU is not overclocked, it's a stock. I don't see artifacts, so probably there's something going on with the codec, but everything is working perfectly. So let's check this. We have an average of 135 FPS. Cool, Joe. Have fun and rest, and get ready for another stream that I want to see it. Okay, so we have 135 FPS. And we are at 4 GHz. So, it's already a nice performance, by the way, because if you check my CPU roundup video on World of Warcraft, you will see that I have more or less the same number with the 9900K. So we are already at very top of the scale. So now, what I'm going to do is to change from Ryzen Master the memory, because it's the only way that I have to change the memory in this motherboard with this BIOS, which it sucks. Because basically I want to do some extreme overclocking, but I can't because I cannot set more volt, which means I cannot set lower timings, and lower timings is everything. So, game mode. This is what we can do. I don't know if you can see it. Maybe let me put the screen a bit smaller. The resolution was 1440p, and by the way, is the same at 1080p. So in World of Warcraft, 1080p, 1440p for the CPU, deliver the same exact performance. I'm using an RTX 2080 non-TI, and it's more or less the same. So yes, now I'm going to game mode. So as you can see here, we have the voltage and the timings. The voltage and the timings I can set the fabric clock and the memory clock at the same level. This is very important because if you do 1:1 ratio, this is the best way you can do, and this is actually the most performing setup I can do. But before this, Aida. So you can see the changes. Yeah, usually I record everything, but now I think I'm going to do that now because I need this test. I usually use Afterburner and hardware info, and I log from hardware info all the data of the system. So I have a shortcut in game. When I start, for example, a raid, I toggle that, I record everything, and then I can see the result later. And usually, just for information about how I do my test, usually I do 3 tests and I pick and I do the average. And if I see that something weird, I do a 4th run. So every time you see a video that I do in World of Warcraft, is usually at least 3 results, an average of 3 results. And when I do raid, I have to do 3 or more raid per settings. Sometimes it takes 3 weeks to do this type of testing, because I always triple check, and sometimes I do a 4th or 5th check if something is weird, and it took a lot of time. That's why basically nobody except me is doing World of Warcraft benchmarks, because it takes so long. So I think now all the tests I'm gonna do at least I don't know, in Twitter or in Twitch or here, so we can make company. I have to spend hours doing the test for the Ryzens. Okay, so we have 85.5. We are measuring the latency. We have 4300 megabyte per second in read, 2500 in write, 4500 in copy, and 85 nanosecond of latency memory, which is bad. If you think we are at 4 gigahertz, the latency is really bad. In the first generation Ryzen was like at least 10 to 15 milliseconds less. In Intel we are like 40 to 50, so a lot lower. Let's change the memory to this. So I click apply, and I have to apply this volt because if you can see here, this is the maximum I can get. 1.324. I think it's a bug, and probably due to the BIOS, I don't know. It's a bug, and we have to live with that for now. So. The highest clock so far, do you mean memory clock or CPU clock? CPU clock is boosting up to 4.4. Usually in World of Warcraft, I think now I'm going to put the numbers on the screen while we bench, and you will see. I forgot to do that, but I will do now. The CPU is doing fine. I mean, it's doing great. The motherboard is, the CPU side is perfect. We have the boost, we have everything. I tried single core, SMT on, off, multi-threading on, and it doesn't change a lot. I mean, it doesn't change anything. So I think with the CPU, having the simultaneous multi-threading doesn't affect the score. With Intel, did. So if you're playing World of Warcraft with an Intel, disable hyperthreading, you have some nice improvement. With this Ryzen, it doesn't change anything. So you can leave it on and enjoy your 12 core, your 24 core, or whatever. I don't think that bandwidth affects gaming, because gaming is mostly latency. So what affects gaming is latency. The bandwidth is more application, or some very intense workload, multi-threading, but I don't know, maybe some very multi-threaded game like Battlefield, but I don't think so. But I'm going to test it anyway. So look at this now. This is very important. This is actually one of the most performance configuration I tested so far. We're talking about 1829 megahertz of fabric speed. Now, if you have to overclock something in Zen 2, is the fabric speed. If you raise fabric speed, you will have everything. So, just to do another quick recap, we are at 1829 megahertz memory, so double down is nearly 3700 megahertz. So, and we have 5100 megabyte per second in read, 29 write, 49 copy, and 79 nanosecond of latency. At 4 gigahertz, we were like at 85. Now, from 85 nanosecond to 69 nanosecond. It's a lot. I mean, it's really a lot. And now I'm going to show you on World of Warcraft the difference of this change. So we have less frequency overall in the memory, but more fabric frequency. So let's do again the test in World of Warcraft. And you will see the difference. Remember that it was at 135 FPS. I'm going to load the game. Okay, PUBG, I don't have it installed, and honestly I never played PUBG, so I don't know exactly neither where to look. I'm sorry, but I cannot test everything. I would like to, but I don't have enough time. I'm a World of Warcraft player, and if I don't know something like a game, I usually don't bench it because I don't know how to do it properly, and if I have to do something poorly, I won't do it. I may try, but it takes time, so I don't want to make a promise that I cannot maintain. So just to let you know, this profile of memory that I used, I tested with memtest, and it's like I ran like 1 hour of memory stress test, and it's perfectly stable. So this is not a benchmark map. This is, I'm flying from the lower point in Kultiras to one of the upper point, and using a special command that disable all the weather effect, the mob respawn and the player respawn. So every run I do is perfectly consistent to the other run. So there's no distraction between the runs. So it's like an in-game benchmark. /time test space 1. You can try it yourself. I write it in the chat. So this, when you type this and you take a Gryphon, it will activate the internal benchmark. You do the same route many times, you change the configuration, and so you can test. What I'm going to do now is to configure this, because I forgot, and probably I have to do it again from scratch. Anyway, we are flying and we have time. I'm trying to read the chat and tell you everything if I can. So first thing, let's put on screen some metrics. What core clock, memory clock, we don't care. CPU usage, okay. I think we have almost everything here. I'm setting some shortcuts. Let me log out and log in so we can see on screen all the data. So let's see how we can put what we can put on screen. We want to know memory clock. We want to see this one. Memory clock ratio as well, line 2. The timings as well, so 3. I'm almost done, no? But I must do this so we can see everything. What else? We want to know the CPU temperature, the core voltage as well, line 5. The CPU, line 6. And most important, the GPU. So GPU core load. Here we are at 7 with a graph. Let's say 300, 150. Maximum 200. Okay, this should be okay. Now check. Okay, then we can try your suggestion. Now let me know if you like the data that I'm going to see on screen. Let me put it bigger, like this. So okay. Are you fine with that? Perfect. So we have all the cores. So on screen now we are seeing all the cores utilization, all the core frequency, the GPU temperature, the GPU load, the GPU frequency, the actual frame rate, and then I can activate this thing so you can see the 1% low, the 0.1% low, the average, the maximum, and the minimum. And now I think I have to check what is what. We have memory clock ratio. It doesn't need that. We can change it. Yes, I'm using that one that in Afterburner. So first I'm going to memory clock ratio, right? We don't need that. This is free. Okay. What else? I think we are fine here. Let's check the 1% low and all that kind of stuff. So you can see here. Okay. So we don't need this one. Okay, we need average 1% low, 0.1% low. Perfect. Okay, I think we will be able to find out what is what. I think I'm going to put this here. So we have 1% low, 0.1% low, 1% low and average. This is only what we need. Alright, I think we can start. The video card is a 2080 non-TI version, the Zotac AMP, which is at 78%, and we are at 150 FPS, so we are way far being GPU limited. The settings, as you can see, we are at 1440p, everything is maxed out, no anti-aliasing and no limitation. So everything is maxed out. Again, slash time test 1 and we are good to go. From castaway point, so Tiragard Sound, to Tide Cross, Storm Song Valley. Okay, and then I set as well the 0.1%, 1% low and average. Because why everything is maxed out? Because on 1440p, if you are testing the CPU, because mainly with this CPU, with this GPU, sorry, if we test at 1080p or 1440p, the result doesn't change, and at least we have something visually better. And as well, I'm using a 4K display, so it's like, you know, I can use a better resolution without impacting performance. Why not? WoW is very CPU intensive. It's really hard to be GPU limited even in 4K. So at 1440p we are way far being GPU limited. But this was not until now, because if you're using a 9900K overclocked or this Ryzen, now we are approaching the GPU limited area, and this is cool actually, because Ryzen is really stepping up, and so we can enjoy very high FPS with a CPU that costs like half the 9900K, which is nice to me. What if you put the okay? No, it doesn't change anything. If I test the 9900K or this CPU, 1080p, 1440p, doesn't change anything. So from now on, I decided to do the test at 1440p and 4K for the CPU, not for the GPU, for the CPU, because the CPU, the load on the CPU is the same in Full HD and in QHD. So for me, and it's like, I don't know, a week of testing less. So I can avoid that, because I double check many times. You can see on all my video, it's pointless to add a resolution and like 27-30 benchmarks to have the same exact result. So the 3600X is doing amazing, especially because we have 4.3 gigahertz, and sometimes we see something a bit more, 5.3, 25 megahertz. And well, I'm using this test bench, so it's a EK, a full custom loop by EK, an XL free fan radiator, and well, Noctua fans, so it's very nice. And we have 54 degrees. Right, so we have 140 FPS. You can see on the screen that we have, and look at the minimum, that the 0.1% is 81 FPS. The 1% low is 98, and the average is 140. I think I have to test again the 1900K, because probably we have better 0.1 and 1% low, which is amazing. So we have 5 FPS. Honestly, I test before the 4K, the 4 gigahertz memory set, and I was getting like 97 FPS. So last time I checked, the performance was way worse. But the point is, we are now at 140 FPS. which is I think more than the 1900K. And I think if someone of you can check my CPU round up and check the test of the 1900K, and you can write it in the chat, the test of 1440p at and the graphical run, we can see if it's the same or not. But at least the point is, we don't need 4 GHz. It's useless. It's useless, and it's useless to spend a lot of money in expensive memory and basically for nothing, because with a good kit like the FlareX you can reach this speed without having to buy the most expensive kit ever. The GPU is the 2080 non-TI version, RTX. So now we see that we are at 140 FPS. Let's do some other benchmarks. Right, yes. So I think we can do ride. Yes, why not? We can do a ride, and then we can tweak something else. Since now we have a, this is I think the best situation you can have regarding the Infinity Fabric and the memory. So probably what we can do is trying to lower the timings to 14, so C14, but I think we need more voltage to do that. If I set manually in the BIOS 3200 MHz memory and 1600, I cannot boot, or I can boot and I find a completely different thing when I'm into Windows. So at this point the Crosshair 7, the BIOS is just, I don't know, horrible. Don't say anything else. So yes, 134 FPS for 5.2 GHz i9. And yes, it doesn't say the 1% low, but now we are going to do a ride so we can see. I have the data there if you check. So probably is going to beat the 1900K in ride. I have this feeling. Ride finder, out of containment. Why doesn't say that? Oh no, I have to change. I'm not going to use the tank, so I have to change the character. So nice. So yes, basically is this, because I try to find like the way to unlock the voltage from the timings, but I cannot unlock it. I have to change memory clock and memory voltage at the same time. So, pity. Let me log with another character so we can do the ride. Since I would like to read the chat and everything, I play the druid now. That was my demo hunter, the tank. I love that character, but if I have to tank in a ride and look to a chat, I think they're going to kick me. So better not. Yeah, the druid is fine. I love this druid. I really love it, this druid. Stormwind? Why the hell I'm here? I was in Stormwind yesterday. What happened? Nice. Very nice. Let's see if they steal me my... No, I still have the gun. So... Okay, so we can see in Stormwind we have 100 FPS. Pretty nice. I mean, now with the Ryzen 3600X you can play at 144 Hz if you want, because probably with FreeSync and an RX 5700 XT maybe you can do it. And by the way, next week I have a 15th anniversary RX 5700 XT. So I'm going to do a live with that GPU. I'm going to test that GPU in World of Warcraft. You know that I didn't play since 2 months and I forgot everything. Can you somebody tell me in the chat where is the portal? And is this here? Burning Legion? Azuna? I don't think you can do PBO with the non-X version. I think I have to go to the docs again. Incredible. I don't play for 2 months and I forgot everything. I'm getting old. Look at the FPS. I mean, we are spiking something like 160 FPS. Yeah, it was supposed to be in the tower, but I think they changed something and I think it's in the docks. I'm trying to go to the new zone, the Boralus, which I think I have to take the boat or something. Do the portals? Down there? Yes? Okay. No, I don't think I have the Earthstone. Stormwind Harbor, Dalaran. Portal was in the tower, so I have to go back. Well, I think in the meantime, I joined the ride. Also of containment. Because at the end, I can be everywhere. Here. The boat was in the boat. The mem clock is now at, so you have to take this number, so 829 megahertz, and you have to double it, so 3666 megahertz, and this is the maximum I was able to achieve. Moralus. There's something, this one. Okay, we have to take the boat. Anyway, we have to wait. So, if you have anything to ask, write in the chat, because we have to wait a bit, and at least we can keep this interactive. I didn't try yet to undervolt. I would like to. So first I want to know if the motherboard is working perfectly, because honestly if the motherboard is bugged, there's something that is not working, I don't even bother trying something that may be affected, and I can do a test, then they change the BIOS, everything changed, and I have to do the test again. 37 with PBO the same? This is a big question, because I will have the 2 next week, hopefully, and I want to check it, because I think the 3700X with a lower TDP, I think it may be less inclined to boost than the 3800X. But I'm guessing, so I think we have to wait that I have the sample here so I can do the test myself. In the meantime, if you look at the screen, we are at 220 FPS. Incredibly high. Yes, I'm waiting all the models actually. It was scheduled for this week, but there was a delay, and so I hope that next week I will have the 3600 non-X, 3700X, 3800X, 3900X. So I will have everything, and the RX 2700 XT 15th anniversary. Hopefully next week or maybe the week after. I have a Discord server, so you can check the link in this video. There's the link of my Discord server. Actually now we use only one channel to write things, but I can set up also a voice channel, whatever. Read Discord while I'm streaming. No, I mean, I don't know. I can. Let me log in. I can't do too much thing. If I need to play Discord chat, it's a bit hard. I'm not a Ryzen with multi-cores, not yet. Yes, if everybody want to join my Discord server, why not? Come and join and ask everything. Usually I post photo, I post the results, I ask things if you want to know something. Oh, perfect. Write the step there and we can try. After this we can try that, because if I manage to push a bit the voltage, maybe we can see C14 or even C12. PBO OC, base clock OC to maximize single core. I tried the base clock OC with the previous generation, and honestly, you can check, I made a video about that, and the performance with the base clock OC was worse. Because what happens with base clock OC? Basically, you are forcing a higher clock at the same multiplier. But to do that, when you go high in clock, you lose efficiency. Is basics. The higher the clock, the less is the efficiency. When the efficiency is low, basically you are asking the motherboard more current, and when the motherboard is providing too much current, the PBO will boost for less time. So you will see spike in frequency like 4.5 gigahertz, but the system is sustaining that frequency for less time. So overall you have worse performance than default. So I tested and double tested a lot of time. Base clock OC is like a placebo effect. You have higher spikes, but the system is not able to sustain that frequency for much longer. So at the end of the day you lose like 2%, 3%, but you lose performance. It is not worth it. I think the best thing you can do, if you have the budget, just buy the X version. You enable Auto C, that we are going to try later. So then, after we do things with the things here, we can try to do the Auto C Ryzen Master, and we can measure again the FPS. And I'm pretty sure that we gain something there. So we have nice FPS, very nice FPS, especially at this time of the day. Okay. Yes, the GPU is at 17%, now 50%, because take a look at the CPU 8. This is the core. We have one core that is the CPU 8 that is constantly loading like 90%, 80%, and that is, we are basically CPU limited. Blizzard told us, yes, we give you the multi-threading with the 8.1. Yes, they did something, because they kind of flow the workload on other cores. They did something, but not enough. So we are still basically single-threaded. So no, with the BIOS that I have now, I cannot change much in BIOS, because if I change manually something in the BIOS, when I boot into Windows and I check CPU-Z, basically there's something completely random stuff. So if I change something there in the BIOS, I go in Windows and I find completely a different story. So they have to fix that. Trade District in Stormwind, yes, I was in Trade District in Stormwind before and I have 200 FPS. So, well, you have to check in Boralus. Go in Boralus, place in this bot at this time of the day and check. If you reach more than, I don't know, 50 FPS, is enough. Yes, the TDP of the 3700X. If I recall correctly, the 3700X is 65 watts and the 3800 is 105 watts. So basically the 3700 have a lower TDP. I don't know if when you enable Precision Boost Overdrive and the Auto C, you can kind of override that TDP. But probably, at least, is a guess. I have to test it myself. But my guess is the 3700 will do Precision Boost Overdrive less than the bigger brother. At least is my guess. But you know, I have to test it. No, the PBO algorithm doesn't like the base clock, because what they did in AMD, they did an amazing thing, because they really push everything possible out of the silicon in an automatic way. I heard that there was like 1000 sensors inside the CPU that monitors voltage, frequency, temperature, everything. So it's basically a better overclocker than us, and it push everything to the limit. If you are lucky and you have a very good silicon, like I did in one of my 2700X, you can push with manual overclock more than the maximum boost. But you have to be very lucky. So I have a 2700X that can do almost 4.4 gigahertz all core with manual OC. But it's like a world record CPU, and normally if you can boost more than 40, the 4.2 is enough. And now, for example, we have peak of 4.4, and with this CPU I can reach 4.35. So with manual overclock I'm still below the single core clock with the default PBO. So okay, you are standing in the harbor of what? Stormwind or Boralus? Because if you are in Stormwind, I'm having the same. I was in Stormwind, looking to the harbor, I was 220 FPS. Now I'm everything maxed out. So 1440p, everything you see in the system settings, you maxed out everything except anti-aliasing. So you maxed out everything. And most important is the viewing distance, because if I turn to 7 viewing distance, or 6, let's see, now we are having more FPS, 85, we gain FPS, everything maxed out. Hey, Glitch Spider, how are you? Hola, ¿qué tal? This is Spanish. Well, I mean, Intel, the 2600K is still a good CPU. It's probably one of the most successful Intel CPU of all time. And Intel, since there was no competition, didn't improve much since back then. So they went like 2, 3, 5% of IPC per year. So Intel CPU are super capable of running World of Warcraft, even older generation. Now that there's AMD and there's a lot of competition, so I hope that the next generation Intel will push again and AMD will push again, and we have lower prices. That's how it works. Yeah, I speak good Spanish because I live in Spain since 6 years now. Okay, you lower your FPS to 160. Well, it's normal, but I mean, you have a nice CPU. The Intel CPU for World of Warcraft was the best CPU for the last 10 years. Basically, I was like an NVIDIA and Intel guy for World of Warcraft because Intel and NVIDIA was the best for World of Warcraft since last year. Then, when they put DirectX 12, the AMD GPU had a very big push, and now with the Ryzen and probably the RX 570 5700, I think is a nice combo. So I'm really eager to test next week the combo 3600X and the 5700 XT. I think it's a pretty nice combo, pretty value combo as well. And probably with that, if you think about FreeSync that comes now at free, there's no additional cost to a FreeSync on a display, I mean, it's the perfect build. Okay, Core Affinity, let's do this. So, Task Manager, I think in Windows 10 I don't have Core Affinity. That was something in Windows 7, if I recall correctly, right? I think maybe from Details, this one, right? Yeah, Details, World of Warcraft, Set Affinity. So, you mean to uncheck the Core 7? What is your suggestion? Unselect from 7 down. Okay. Out. So basically we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But I think you want to disable the SMT, because if you want to disable the SMT, we have to disable Core 2, Core 4, Core 6, Core 8, and Core 10. Deactivating SMT is 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. We can try, but let's see. Okay, I disable the affinity. Doesn't change anything. We still have one core completely stressed and the other in vacation, drinking mojito. Let's try instead to do this. This is like disabling SMT, because it's usually the first core is the real core, the second core is the virtual core. This is like disabling SMT. No, nothing at all. Let's try to... Yeah, I think it's funny. While we wait for the dungeon, this is actually cool. Let's set affinity on the first two. Wow. Now we have a decrease in performance. So, with only 2 core, we lost a lot. I mean, we lost a 50%. Cool. This is actually the best thing to do when waiting for a ride, you know? Playing with the core. Let's put 3 cores. Nice performance increase. We have like 20% of increase in performance. This is a 6-core 12 threads. Affinity 4 cores. So now we have 2 real core and 2 virtual core. And we have a nice improvement in performance again, but not so much. And now we enable everything. Okay, 75. So, yes, the Atom 200G, well, I have it there. You can see, yes, you can see it. Just right here. This is a nice CPU because, you know, like 40 something euro, 50 euro, and I was actually able to play. And I did a test. I don't know if I made the video about that, but I take that CPU, so $40 CPU, and I put the 1080 Ti, and I was playing Ride easily. That's amazing. And it was like not detail 10, but you can play. If you're on a budget, now you can play. I think the best thing could ever done AMD was taking the Zen 2 cores and do like a two core for threads or something like this with a new Zen core and a small CPU that's 60 euro or something like this. But maybe I think it will come next year with the new APUs. So we probably have a small Navi and a Zen 2 CPU cores, which is, I mean, if it's like 100 euro, you can play at 1080p and you can do whatever you want. So next year, for the APU, I think it will be very, very nice. If you lower to 7 to test, why not? Let's do it. 7. 100 FPS. So, of course, lowering the detail helps, but not the GPU in this case, but the CPU. Because when you lower the details, especially when you have players in here, you will see in a ride it changes a lot. The graphic card is always at 50%, especially here. Now I'm back to quality 10. Quality 10, we have 75 FPS in Moralus. Yesterday, last time we tried was a bit higher, it was 90. But probably there's more people today. That's why. Now I try to change resolution so I can show you that. So let's get back to the bot. Okay, we are in the same bot. And then take a look. So we are 72, 73 FPS at QHD. And now we are going to lower to 1080p. 1080p. I think we still have the bug that I cannot change the resolution in game. No, okay, fine. 73 FPS. So this is the confirmation that if you play at 1080p or 1440p, we have more or less the same thing. So it doesn't change anything. So for World of Warcraft, if you play only World of Warcraft and you don't have a big graphics card, you can still afford to play with a QHD monitor. If you can find a good QHD monitor 144 Hz, I think this is the sweet spot to have a high refresh rate and a good resolution. I think when we have a tank, we can join the ride, and that is gonna be interesting. Can somebody please check my CPU roundup and report the 1440p ride for the 9900K, so we can see the 0.1, the 1% low, and the average, so we can keep track during the test if you are beating or not the 9900K. I did manual overclocking the first video, and I will do manual overclocking now after this ride. I can do manual overclocking, but manual overclocking, it means we can have the same frequency we have now, because in manual overclocking I can push 4.3 gigahertz, I can push maybe 4.35 gigahertz, but this chip is not good for manual overclocking. I mean, I didn't have the luck of the silicon lottery, and I don't know if somebody will have one. So manual overclocking, and I don't think we are going to gain a lot. I cannot do that because I have to go in raid. After I finish the first boss, I can manual overclock the CPU because I can do it on the fly, and then we can do the second boss with manual overclocking. Alright? PBO. I tried PBO 2 days ago in my first video, yes, and it seems boosting a bit better. But since World of Warcraft is a very low intensity workload, I don't think the PBO will help much in this case. Maybe in like Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Battlefield, yes, because it's a heavy multi-threaded game. We are a single-threaded game. I don't think enabling PBO will help us much. Probably is the PBO plus the auto overclock that will help us, and probably more than manual overclock. But well, we are going to test it today, so if you have the patience, you will see. I don't think I lost the silicon lottery. I think I had just an average chip. But I don't know if somebody can win this silicon lottery, because probably we will never, I mean, we will likely see some very, very lucky chip. I mean, in all the review I saw and everything, I didn't see any very lucky chip so far. But the time will tell. So. Yes, let me know when you get something. Write this. Well, you can write in the comment section. You can join. I will do some more live. You can write me in the chat. Write me in the Discord. I have a channel in the Discord to talk about World of Warcraft. So if you have findings, why not post it there? So I'm always happy to hear about other people's experience, so I can have more idea to do the testing. What was boosting to what PBO? I mean, with PBO, this CPU was boosting, I mean, PBO, not auto overclocking. PBO was boosting higher, I mean, was sustaining higher clock, because the maximum clock here is 4.4. With PBO, it was able to sustain more clock, but like in Cinebench, without PBO, I think I was like 4.1. With PBO, I was 4.2 in multi-threading. In World of Warcraft, we are already approaching 4.5, 4.32. So, with PBO or non-PBO in World of Warcraft, I don't think it will change much. We will do the test later. So you're going to have the 3600X. Cool. You have the EVGA64, right? If I remember correctly. Yes, as Roberto said, don't bother with manual overclocking. Now we are going to test the auto overclock settings in Ryzen Master, but I think the perfect setup for a system, a daily system, you enable auto overclocking in Ryzen Master. You tune the memory, and then you're good to go, play, have fun, and you are not risking to have crash, because if you do manual overclocking and is unstable, you are in a ride, you are having fun, and the system crashed, and it's not fun. So auto overclock is something that is in Ryzen Master. So this is like an enhanced precision boost overdrive. So precision boost overdrive simply raise all the power limit of the board. So the board have the current draw, the socket current draw. There's a lot of limit in the motherboard, but since every manufacturer build the motherboard in some kind of an overkill way, precision boost overdrive help you to go beyond that limit, so the CPU can sustain the boost for more time, so you can sustain a higher frequency for more time, with a peak at 4.4. In theory, the auto overclock will go past that 4.4 and goes like 4.5, which we are going to check later. So auto overclock raise the maximum boost frequency. Precision boost overdrive enhance the capacity to sustain the maximum clock for longer. I hope that this clarifies this to you. So, we are waiting a tank. I'll read the chat. Ryzen DRAM calculator 1.5.1. I tried yesterday and I was literally going mad because it's not working. At least not with this board, not with this BIOS. If I try to touch the subtimings, well, even if I try to touch the frequency in this BIOS, everything goes cuckoo. If I touch the subtimings, I don't get to boot. So for now, manual timings selection in BIOS is off limits. So extreme overclocking is off limits. I cannot do that for now. I mean, with decent results. So, question. I was using a 6600K and a 1070 Ti. Upgrade to 3700X. Feel no performance increase. Well, you came from a very nice CPU. And how about your memory? Because now, if you are having this timing, and you are going to have a good improvement. You're probably going to have an improvement, but you came from a nice CPU. The 6600K is a nice CPU, and it's not too much different from a 9900K in IPC. So keep in mind that. And well, check the memory. If you can achieve the memory I'm using now, you will probably have some improvement. But I think with that configuration, you can still play in everything maxed out. Negative offset voltage with PPO to, yes, with Zen Plus. If you set the negative voltage offset and PVO, you are having actually better performance. But you don't need to push it too much because the system gets unstable. So let's say maximum minus 0.1 volt. And yes, you can have a performance increase because the system draws less power, and when the system draws less power, it keeps the boost, sustain high clocks for more. So yes, undervolting the Zen 1 is a good tweaks. Okay, so you are okay, so where is it? Piercing Heavens. CPU usage went down. Okay, so you are GPU bottlenecked. Probably, maybe you are pushing too hard the multi-sampling, because if you check this, I show you something interesting while we wait. If you go into the anti-aliasing here and you set MSA 8X, you are actually playing like in a virtual resolution of like 8K. So if I select this, you will see the frame rate going nuts, and the CPU utilization, no, doesn't have anything. So usually when you mess with this thing, like multi-sampling, you're going to have a really serious problem usually, but now we don't have it, so strange. Anyway, check the settings, because probably there's something on the GPU that is not working, the driver or whatever. Strange, because honestly, when you push this too much, it's like having a virtual resolution way higher, and the GPU goes crazy without improving actually too much. yeah, the wait is very long, and we are waiting for one single tank. I'm trying to keep up with the chat. So good Ryzen CPU GPU combo, in my opinion. 1080p. Okay, mainly playing WoW. I think, and I'm going to check it next week, that the 3600X and the RX 5700 XT, I think it will be the perfect combo for World of Warcraft. Maybe even 4K, since playing over 60 FPS in 4K is kind of expensive. So, and you can achieve, I think, around 100 and something. I mean, now we are going to see it, but I think in raid or in dungeon, you can max out the high refresh of the monitor. What cooling the CPU? Okay, I'm cooling the CPU now with a custom loop because I want to collect data, and with the same system that I used for my CPU roundup. So everything we are going here, I'm going to use it for a comparison. At least one of the run here, I'm going to double check and everything, but at least I want to use the same exact bench station configuration that I used with the 9900K. So just to compare the two CPU with the same amount of cooling. Oh, thanks, Baglover. £5. Thank you. This helps a lot. We still 34 minutes in queue. Oh, yes. We're on. We got lucky. No? No, we lost an healer. Oh, that's crazy. We've lost an healer. I'm going to fly a bit, so we can do another Gryphon run later. Or no? No, well, I leave it here. Come on, last healer, join us, join us. Finger crossed. You know, when I bench World of Warcraft, it's hard for this, because sometimes I just have to wait a lot, and when I have to do a GPU or CPU comparison with like 40 benchmark to do 3 times, and I have to wait 30 minutes every time I have to go in a raid, and it's kind of, it takes forever. So what I'm going to do now, check the FPS. That's crazy. You see that? We are at 200 FPS in a raid. That's actually crazy. I think I never saw that with the 9900K. So I'm going to check doing the first part, so we can monitor the 1% low, 0.1% low, and everything. Let's see if I can remember how to heal in a raid. Yes, now we have more GPU. I noticed that from Legion in BFA the GPU in raid increased dramatically, because in Legion I was able to play nice with the APU, and now in BFA with an APU sometimes is a struggle. So Battle for Azeroth is way heavier than Legion, at least in raid. I mean, look at the FPS counter, 200 FPS in a raid. I think I never saw that. Of course I have dual rank memory. I have a couple of selected BDI. Look at the screen, you will see we are 3600 MHz C16. We lost a tank. We can do that, even without a tank. Let me be polite and I say hi. The GPU is a Zotac AMP 2080 RTX non-TI. Dual rank versus single rank. I can do that, but honestly, single rank will kill your FPS in half, because I already tried that. Single rank is something that you must never do. So single rank for me is like, it doesn't exist. A PC with single rank memory is broken. So don't even think about that. If you are on a budget, single channel, single rank. Oh, maybe I'm mistaken. By the way, this is single rank. Dual channel, single rank. Sorry, but sometimes when I have to read the chat, I get half the thing. Yes, it is single rank. It's a A1 BDI single rank. This is a G-Skill Trident Z. Is a selected BDI. Actually, it's a very nice kit for extreme overclocking as well, because I can do something like almost 4.1 GHz C1211. It's a very nice kit. I'm sucking because it's a lot of time that I didn't play. So we have a 0.1% of 60 FPS. Nice. So I'm going to reset it. Now when I start the boss, I start the counter. So you can see during the boss fight, exactly the minimum, the average, and the 0.1% lows. Now I can't read too much the chat, because it seems that they have to heal a lot. Yeah, look at the thread. If you look at the thread, you will see that only a couple are working good. The other is simply on vacation. Because of that, I think that this CPU will be probably the best for World of Warcraft, because you don't need too many threads. Yes, outdoor boss is an FPS killer, because you have the viewing distance that is pushing hard on the CPU. Yes. Yes, I'm an alliance, so you can dislike if you want. You can do it. I'm using a RTX 2080 non-TI, but it's more than enough. I mean, you can have more or less the same FPS with an RTX 2060. And I think the sweet spot maybe, I don't know, the super version, or even the RX 5700 XT. I'm going to test it next week. So next week I'm going to do a live dedicated to that GPU. So I can test World of Warcraft, ride other games if you want, if we have time. So next week, when I receive the package, I will test the Navi. Well, you know, I like doing the live, because at least I can talk with you, we can have a chat, and because since I have to kill this monster for like 60 times, at least we can help each other with some conversation. And I can answer some questions and help people that maybe, you know, if many of you are about to buy something but you don't have a clue how to buy it, you can ask me. And Iran will do like the Corsair Vengeance. I mean, the Corsair Vengeance depends. The problem with Corsair is sometimes they use very different IC, so the different chips. You can find B die, which is good. You can find Samsung like E die, Samsung D die, something very bad. And so you buy, maybe you save €20, $20 for having something that goes half. So you need to be careful with the memories. Now memories are going down. Micron E-Die is the only one kit that I don't have, so I cannot say. I want to try one. They told me that is nice, but honestly, except the B die, all the other kit with sub timings, they kinda suck. So they can scale good in frequency, but you cannot lower the sub timings. And in Ryzen, what gives you the performance are the sub timings. Something that I want to do here now, if I can, but to overclock the sub timings, you need voltage. And now with this BIOS issue, I cannot give voltage. That improves a lot. I think probably we can squeeze 10 FPS more by tweaking the sub timings. From CS16 to 14, much difference? I don't know. With Ryzen Gen 1 and Gen 2, yes, there's difference. With this one, I checked the latency, and now we can check the latency after, but I didn't see too much of an improvement going from C14 to C16, probably because we are limited by the Infinity Fabric frequency. So the Infinity Fabric frequency is the bottleneck. So probably going lower with the timings doesn't help too much. Okay, so let's keep track of this. We have 108 FPS average, 76 1%, 44 1% low. I think the 9900K is better. Can somebody check my CPU roundup video so we can see something? So now I hope my group doesn't die, and we can do what we can do. Manual overclocking. Manual overclocking. Let's go for manual overclocking. See if we gain something. So control mode, manual, overclock, 33. What is that? 4 point. I think was like this. Voltage control 1 point. Let's try like this. Let's hope I don't crash. Memory control. What? Out. Okay, now I'm manually overclocked to 4.35 gigahertz. So I'm manual overclocking now. So now you will see how this performed to 4.350 gigahertz. I'm activating the counter. I cannot change the sub timings, because if I change the sub timings, this will probably crash the system. I tried that already. I cannot. What I need is voltage. The cooler, I'm using a custom loop. You can check the CPU temp. We are 47 degree. So we are 47 degree, and here we have 26 degrees at this moment in this room, so it's hot. Okay, so 1900K at 5.2, we have, so 53, the minimum, right? The 1% low. So 1900K is faster. Let's check the average and the 1% low, because the 0.1% low is something that is very random. I did a lot of these runs, and the 0.1% low I think is not reliable. What really matters is the 1% low and the average. The 0.1% low, I put it in the graphs because I have it, but honestly you don't have to consider it because it's useless. So 145 was the average of the 1900K? 81. Okay. So, yeah. Okay, I looked the spreadsheet and I got killed like a newbie. Yay! My groups now hates me. Resurrect. Need to be careful. I think we need to change chamber. When I finish this boss, I start reading the chat again. Because honestly, I don't want to make people die. It's rude and it's unfair. But anyway, I think maybe we are not matching the 1900K, but we are getting pretty close. And I think, who cares if we have 150 FPS or if we have 120 FPS for basically less the price, right? Because 20 FPS doesn't really change a lot. Especially what I'm usually, if you saw in my videos, the graphs I use to report like the main differentiation for the graph scaling, the 1% lows, because 1% lows is when something bad happens there and you have like the freeze. Average doesn't really matter too much, so if we have more or less the same 1% low of the 1900K, for me it's a win. For me it's a real win, the 1% low. Because if we have 80 FPS, 1% low, it means that even when the boss is doing crazy thing, I'm not stuttering, I'm not having lag, and I can play. Because what I want to do is play. I don't care if I play at 200 FPS. I just want to play without freezing. And I mean, I think everybody doesn't want to play with freezing. Yeah, a 20% increase at 40 FPS or 80 is different, but I think if we have 72 1% low FPS, it's more than fine. We don't need to have 100 FPS of anyway. I think apparently I have to learn to read the chat and play at the same time. Now I can read the chat, since my group is going mad. I think they jumped in the wrong direction, and I follow. So, have you tested the new RX? Yeah, I'm going to test the new Navi, the RX 5700 XT 50th anniversary next week. So next week I'll do another live dedicated only for that GPU. And since we saw that the 9900K is still the best, I will test it with the 1900K. And probably I'll test as well with the Ryzen to see the difference. So I'm going to test first with the Ryzen and then with the 9900K. Okay, I think we are pretty much okay. We have more or less the same FPS of banner overclock. Actually, we had more FPS with the non-overclocked version, which is nice. What do you want to do? Want to try something else? Or do you want to keep riding? Anti-input lag. I think I have to take a look into that. One more boss. Yeah, we have one more boss, but at this point I cannot do anything now because I have done the manual overclocking, and I have to, for auto overclocking, I have to restart the system, I think. Yes. Maybe I can overclock and then rejoin the ride, faking that I was disconnected. But it's not fair. We can do that. So we fake a disconnection and we do auto overclocking. Okay, we fake the disconnection. Sorry guys if you see that afterwards, but the system is quick. We can do auto overclocking and join again the ride. Hopefully that I will not find the ride already dead and screaming at me. Let's see. Csgo benchmark. I want to test that. I think I tested already Csgo benchmark. In fact, I scored 570 with the pro settings. So the resolution was 1024 for 640, I think. So the pro settings, everything low, I was having 570 FPS in the Csgo benchmark. 570. A lot. Okay, so in theory we have the auto overclocking. Oh, look. Let's try to fake this. This one. Okay. Okay, so apparently we are still alive. Now I am still QHD, everything maxed out, auto overclocking. So I don't see any difference at all. Nice. This is with auto overclocking. Probably I have to activate it. I don't see any difference. Everything is maxed out. So these auto overclocking things, not so good. It doesn't do anything. Last boss was 44.35 gigahertz. But I mean, I don't think that 50 megahertz or even 100 megahertz change a lot. What really changes the memory. This is auto overclocking. Auto overclocking is PBO plus, in theory, something that expands the capability of boosting. So we should have the PBO plus an increased limit of the maximum frequency. Auto overclocking is PBO plus this. PBO is just increasing the maximum sustaining clock, but it doesn't work probably because something in the BIOS, probably because they told us like a marketing thing that it might, or up to, you know, when it's up to doesn't really mean anything. Let's check this. So we have a maximum frequency. Well, we don't even have spikes. So probably this auto overclocking thing, at least with this CPU 3600X, doesn't really do anything. No, I didn't do the new zone because actually I'm playing again now after 2 months that I wasn't able to play. I had some issues, personal issue, and I wasn't making video, I wasn't testing, wasn't doing anything. But now I'm back in action, so I'm going to level up my item level, which is already nice, and I'm going to do the new level and the new dungeon. So probably the newer review, I'm going to do it in the new dungeon. And since I have to test a lot of things, I think I'm going to bring all my character to a high item level, so I can reset the cooldown of the raid and I can have the drops, because with only 2 I usually end up to do raid without having the loot, but I have to do benchmark, and doing the raid without having the loot sucks. Reroll Horde. No. I think I played Alliance since the beta, the first beta, 2003, and now I'm stuck with the Alliance. I had a lot of friends in the Horde, by the way, so I don't hate the Horde. And honestly, I tried one time a mage and I think a zombie, like was a rogue or something. It was nice, the Horde. I tried even, I think, the Tauren one time. Ah yes, and the Dark Elf. So, we have a dead rogue. No, not anymore. So, every time I don't know if I want to resurrect it or not. Too early. The GPU is at RTX 2080, Zotac RTX 2080 non-TI version. The RAM overclocking, it will be after this boss, because honestly I can't talk too much watching the chat and heal. I think they are going to hate me, so I have to take a break. So let's see the FPS. This is the auto overclocking. So now we are going to check the FPS with auto overclocking option. When I'm going to do a proper test, so I'm going to do every single boss more than one time with the same configuration just to check the averages, but now at least we have a more or less. Usually in many runs I do 3 runs, sometimes 4, and I do the average. It doesn't really change too much, so I can say even with different boss I have more or less the same result. It may have like 5 FPS difference, so the variance between boss are really small. So it's pretty accurate. This it's difficult to measure the MMO in a game. There's no in-game benchmark, but every boss is like 15 minutes, and with 15 minutes of data collected is enough to have consistent results. So what you see here will be more or less the same if I do it another 5 times. I'm doing a really bad job as a healer. Anyway, we're going to make it. Yes, the game should have an integrated benchmark, but there's a lot of people playing, they cast spell, they do random thing. But yes, I agree, they should do something like a simulation or something that you can save a run and you can do a rerun in real, like Counter-Strike. Usually to benchmark Counter-Strike, I do a replay of a pro player match, and you can see really with a, like, you know, they should probably record like a method, right? You know, the guild method. They record a run from them, and they make like a benchmark of a mythic dungeon raid, and then you can play it like a benchmark. That should be cool. I mean, you can benchmark something and then you can find a different result when you play by yourself, but at least you have an idea. And for me, it should be interesting because I don't have to actually play and spend hours. But anyway, if there was like an integrated benchmark, a lot of reviewer will do it, and I lose the exclusive. Now I'm like the only one in the world, and it's cool. I don't want to lose that. Escape from Tarkov. No. Sorry. This is taking long. Okay. Almost there. Anyway, so far we are at 137 average FPS, 75 FPS 1% low, 41% 0.1% low. And from this point, I'm playing very smooth. So I don't see any stuttering lag, something that prevents me to play. I'm really happy. So everything is very smooth. Honestly, probably I can't even tell without the FPS counter if I'm playing with a 9900K or if I'm playing with a Ryzen 3700. So that's the point. I will probably one day make a video with a 9900K and another video with the Ryzen 3600, non-X, and I mix things and I make a poll, and let's see if the people are picking up the right video or not. And we are dead. Nice. Yes, this FPS is solid. I mean, with this type of FPS, okay. So, well, I think we have to do the boss again. Is that rude to leave the group? Yes, right? Usually I don't want to do that. Yeah, I know he's looking for a ride, you can do everything you want, but I still have like mercy of people like waiting now. They are waiting for a healer, but probably they will find one very quickly. So, what do you say in chat? Come on, show me that you're alive, and do you want me to leave the group or not? Tell me. Stay, okay? Up to you. Yeah, Epic BG. But I think we have to wait a lot. So let's do something. We clock a bit I think I'm going to do this boss. Let's give him a chance. I don't want to leave at the last boss of the ride. We do this boss. We clock a bit. We try some. Let's see if we can raise the voltage, overclock via BIOS, and then we can try a BG. So we can make happy everybody. Yeah, I know that not everybody are here for WoW. Not everybody, but well, shouldn't take long. Everybody's ready. This is a very nice raid group. And now I have to be focused and not make anybody die. So let's focus. Because I think I was part of the mess. Because I think I catch the ball and they probably die. Okay. Let's try to be quick. By the way, then I will show you later. Yesterday, I put the board on the phase change. I clocked this thing to 4.9 gigahertz, and I did some Cinebench. I was at minus 95 degrees, and I was doing like 4.9, almost 5 gigahertz. And I was doing Cinebench, 1.65 volts. So probably with liquid nitrogen I can reach for 5.2, for 5.3, or maybe 5.4. But I need a better board or a better BIOS to do that. I was always a WoW streamer. No, I don't think you messed up for the 3700X instead of 3800X. Because as I said before, what you really care is memory. It's not 100 megahertz that make the difference, not even 200 megahertz. A good kit of memory, well tuned, yes, that will make the big difference. And probably with the 3700X you will have less power consumption, less heat, so maybe it's a good choice after all. The 3900X probably you will have more clock, but again, if you play World of Warcraft, or it doesn't really impact too much. Now we are having an average of 161 FPS, so maybe actually the auto overclock works. You know, look at we are talking a lot, but look at the average. We are having 160 FPS of average using the option auto overclock. This is nice. Did you saw that? 160 FPS on average. 82 FPS 1% low, 41% 0.1% lows. Probably we are doing better than the 1900K with the auto overclock. The BDI kit I'm using actually is downclocked, because in this exact moment I'm using a Trident X 4.5 GHz C19. But doesn't matter, because I have like the Flare X, the Rip Jaw, another kit Trident with different timings, different frequency, but they are all BDIs and they clock all more or less the same. What's really changed is the IC, so it is the chip of the memory, not the model, because they are model that they are rated 3600. They doesn't want to move from that. Their model they are rated 3200 megahertz, and they go to up to 4.5 gigahertz. So if you have the chance to have a big die, and if you want to be sure to find a big die, go for the Flare X. This one. This is the best memory kit you can buy right now. It's around 150 and is 100% selected B die. So I think it's probably the best way to find a good binned B die. G-Skill Flare X, 3200 MHz C14. We can try by Ryzen Master then, why not? We will definitely try by Ryzen Master. But you know what? I think the auto overclocking really works. Look at the average FPS. We are 154 average. What was the 9900X in my previous test? Because we have the same condition on my previous test, so we can compare. Oh yay! We completed the dungeon. So 153 FPS, 80 FPS 1%, 1% lows. So the 9900K was 145 and we have 153. So with auto overclocking we beat the 9900K. This is amazing. So okay, I have to double check the results, I have to do more dungeon to collect more data to do the average at the end. So nice, I will say nice. I mean, if we are even like more or less, but now we are past the 9900K with a CPU that cost literally half. Big win. I mean, this is a big win. And if you saw, like before entering the raid, we was at 72 FPS. We are now at 85. So we can see there the core clock, but probably that core clock is more stable and we have an higher average. So yes, the auto overclocking works. So far we have seen memory at 3600 MHz C16 or C14 and auto overclocking, and that's kind of cool because it's easy. You go to auto overclocking and you click apply, restart, and you're done. This is something that is very cool. So thanks AMD to make overclocking easier, at least for daily use. At this point I want to see how Cinebench score with this auto overclocking thing. See the score of yesterday. Yesterday I scored 1948 points. I was at 4.9 gigahertz with the phase change at minus 96 degrees. So now we are sustaining more or less 4.1 gigahertz. I don't think we will have a nice score. Yes, now we tweak timings, we do Cinebench. Okay, 1609. So this didn't help a lot because usually the average is like 1634. With manual overclocking yesterday, 2 days ago in the first streaming, I was doing 1690, I think, something like this. So probably auto overclocking is good for gaming, but not good for multi-threading, since we are yes, probably yes for that, because we are hitting the cap of the current draw and we cannot boost anyway. But in gaming, probably is the way to go. Let's see if I can do manual without restarting. Let's try manual just to see the difference between. Now that we don't have to ride in World of Warcraft, we can try, we can switch, we can experiment. And now I can read the chat. Yes, Auto C probably should make short-term boost. They cannot be seen by MS after burn. Yes, I completely agree with that, because probably the interval between the clock, Ryzen is very smart. It actually feel the sensor like 1,000 times per second, and probably hardware info doesn't really pick that peak of frequency. So it's been like an year that I'm thinking that probably the monitoring tools doesn't really pick up all the frequency spikes. So probably it's for that. Okay, manual overclocking 4.35. Let's try Cinebench. Okay, now then we try Black Eyes profile. Let's see with manual overclocking if we change much. Oh, okay. Maybe it was too much clock or too less voltage. So as you can see, manual overclocking is not always a good choice. So I think I'm going to do the test at 4.3. 4.35 was too much. Yeah, but I don't want as well to push too much voltage, because if I have to bench, okay, I can push 1.8 liquid nitrogen and everything. But if I want to find a settings for daily use, I mean, if I buy this PC for gaming, I cannot pretend to run at 1.5 volt, or my CPU will degrade and in a year I can trash it, or something like that, or maybe not, but there's a risk that degradation is a thing. So let's try with 4.3 first. 1.25 volt, okay, just for the test. Okay, you can see this one, but there's nothing to see, actually. I crashed at 1.425 volts, 4.35. So yeah, 4.3. I have 1677 points in Cinebench R15. I want to do some consequent run, because Cinebench and Ryzen, usually you gain score by multiple runs, especially Ryzen. With Ryzen, you have to train the CPU. It's smart. So the more you perform an action, the more like the cache learns how to feed the CPU. So the more run you do, look, 1688 point, Cinebench R15, 4.3 gigahertz. And probably we are hitting the 90s, so 1690 something, I'm sure. Yes, in theory, to do the things properly, I should set LLC to 5, load like calibration to 5, to avoid drop. So I can push a bit more voltage, let's say 1.5, just to see how far we go at air. Look, as I told you before, we are now 1692 point, Cinebench R15, 4.3 GHz. Now I'm going to raise the voltage and raise the clock. 4.35, that we crashed before, but now we are at 1.5 volt. Let's see if it's the silicon limit on air. Yes, it is. So we hit a wall. Now at this point, it doesn't matter how much voltage I give. What matters now is the temp. Ryzen, when, every CPU, when you hit higher temp, you cannot overclock past that, because simply the CPU will crash. And if you give voltage, it's actually worse. 4.45, no, because I tried 4.35 gigahertz and I crashed. So I'm never having more than 4. I think 4.4 is impossible for this CPU on air. If I can run a liquid nitrogen, I can do 5.2, 5.3, but with this one, no. Regarding to your question, 3800X. Usually the Ryzen, the more is the model, the higher the model, the better is the silicon. For example, the 2600 non-X, you clock around 4.1. The 2700X, you can clock it for 4.4. I clocked mine 4.5 on air. That was a golden chip, but the better is the model, the better is the silicon quality. So probably with your future 3800X, you will probably able to clock it at 4.4, I think. Noctua DH15 will hold the 3600 at 4.5 GHz. Yes, why not? I think yes. The Noctua is an amazing cooler. I did a review the other day of this one. If you didn't see the video, check it out. This is the NH-U12A. This is a very nice cooler, and it was like similar with a performance is similar to a good I/O. And probably I'm going to do the review of the new Ryzen as well with this air cooling and see how I can overclock it with the air cooler. And it's dead silent. With the adapter, that cooler at 100%, you cannot hear it. It's just amazing. Yeah, most people complain about the color, but I like it. But it's personal. You can change the fan. My 3700X is actually shipping, so I will receive the other models next week, hopefully. So 3600 non-X, 3700X, 3800X, 3900X will be arrived here next week with the RX 5700 XT 15th anniversary. Yes, now let's tinker a bit with Ryzen Master. Let's see if we can go past some issues. Troubleshooting. So okay, I'm reading Discord, but try another profile that is not game mode. I tried that, it's not working. I try to type the voltage inside, is not working. There's no beta BIOS, this is the latest BIOS. And I can try to edit the exportable file, edit the profile, and this is something that actually I can do. Gold. The processor was calling gold was the 2700X. You can go to HardwareBot, you check my profile, or you type, look, I show you something. If you don't know, I have like, probably, I have a lot of first position with the Ryzen during extreme overclocking. That CPU is probably the fastest 2700X. I don't mean anything in the world, but it's one of the fastest. If you go there and you see the Italian flag, it's me and it's all first places. It's a good achievement, I'm proud of. Took a lot of day of testing memories. So, the one thing that we can do is to, okay, here we leave at default. Okay, out, memory, thing, I load this profile, I save this profile, I export it, and I change the voltage in the file. Let's see if it is work. I was that one, so the 2700X. I made quite some score there. I did the same as well with other Zen CPU like the 2700, the APU. I have like 27 first position. There's not too much competition there, so it's not like the Intel, they are all the big overclocker there. But you know, I had some first position and I'm happy. And I want to do the same with this generation, so I would like to take the first position in the Zen 2. This is one of my goals. And I want to do some live event when I try to break those records. So, let's try this tinkering. First, I'm going to, what the fuck? Export. Let's see if I can export this. I don't think I can export that. Save. Export. There's no option to export the profile. I don't think we can. User profile 1. Copy current. Of memory. Save. I cannot export it. I think there's no way to export the profile. We can try to tweak the memory, all manual. If I can put here 1.4, it doesn't work. This is the max I can do. We don't want to touch this, but I cannot go above this one. So there's no way we can push the voltage here. And honestly, if I can try to change everything here, but it doesn't work, because if I can control the memory voltage, is useless. Maybe what we can do is go into the BIOS and try a workaround. I saw something that might be helpful for us. Now I'm going to do another Aida so you can see this point. We can try to work from here. if I can get the things working in the BIOS. Sorry. The Mabo software doesn't want me to change the voltages because I have Turbo V Core, latest version. It doesn't change anything, and sometimes I can even crash. I see here 1.45. So you know what? Probably we can try to set the voltage manually and see if the timings works. I have an idea. Probably Ryzen Master doesn't work. I mean, if I set something in the BIOS, Ryzen Master tell me that I have 1.324, but in fact I have the one voltage that I set in the BIOS. I have an idea. Let's try it. The problem is when I set it may be working. Yes, I think I found a way. Exactly. I try to set the voltage in the BIOS and then I work on timings in Ryzen Master. What I really want to do is like to push 3600 MHz C12 and maybe we work on the sub timings. Samsung VDI, for daily use, you can I think you can put 1.6 easily. Look at this, it's kind of weird. So, what I'm going to achieve, I would like to use this. Let's see if it stays. But I think it doesn't really matter what I put here because then when I go into the Windows is a different value. So what I'm going to try now is push this one. I want to push for the SOC voltage because if I want to lower the timings I need SOC voltage and boot voltage. Okay. Okay, now we should be able to boot in Windows and change the timings from there. Let's see. It seems that we are posting. Yes, fine. So probably, yes, we are going to boot. Yes, it's booting. So maybe we have found a workaround. Yes, there's an issue that you lose the mouse. Yeah, the profile is encrypted, so but maybe I think we have found a workaround. So probably we are going to achieve better timings. Okay, 1829. See, we have lost the fabric frequency. And it seems that when I change something in the BIOS, the default is 1, the ratio is 1:2, and it should be 1:1. Until 3700, 33 MHz, it should be 1:1, and then, as AMD told us, and then when you go above 3800 MHz, they switch to 1:2. But it's not working. Probably this is a glitch of the BIOS, and they will fix it. So just a comparison now. So we can try now we measure the latency now, and in the meantime we select a profile and we try to push a bit the timings like this frequency, but the Infinity Fabric frequency at 1.1 and C14. The problem, I cannot decouple it in the BIOS, because if I set something in the BIOS, it doesn't do what I tell the system to do, and it do random stuff. I have to set it in Ryzen Master. So we have 84 nanosecond of latency, that is super high. Now to decouple, I have to go here, game mode, and here I can set the fabric frequency at 1.1. This is the way to go. I don't touch this because it seems that it doesn't really, we don't need that. Okay, I leave it like this. We can check. Now I think I put 1.6 voltage. If Turbo V Core is showing 1.6 voltage, we have 1.6 voltage, and it's nice. So we can set the voltage in BIOS. We have a good chance. Yes, I can go in Aida, but I trust more Turbo V. What it was, I can't remember where. This one. No. Sensor. Okay. So 1.6 sock. Okay. Yes, it's right. We have sock voltage and dim voltage. Perfect. Let's try to push a bit. Let's try C14 first and see if we boot and if we are stable or not. Let's try like this. So we have the voltage and now we have the timing. So we are 1.6 DRAM voltage, 1.2, a bit less, 1.175 sock voltage, 3600. Yes, no, I was not in 1.1 because the BIOS set it 1.2. Now we should be able to have the fabric at 1 versus 1. So now I am in 1.1 in theory. C14, 3833 megahertz in theory. And yes, nice, very nice. Yes, 1.6 volt memory, 1.183 sock. That is nice, very nice. So let's try Cinebench. Let's check the latency first, because I'm not sure if we can gain much, but well, we'll see. I increased the sock voltage to 1.2 because now I'm trying to lower the timings. When you lower the timings, I mean a lot, I can even want to push 2 volt on the memory and 1.3 volt on the sock to do extreme overclocking. But we are going to check that step by step. So now we are still safe for a daily use. 69. So no, we don't have much gain. No, I don't think we can overclock the Infinity Fabric on Zen Plus. I can't remember if AMD said something on that. Very bottom plus benchmark. Yes, okay. But I want to see as well the read and the write. I would like to see everything, because I would like to check the bandwidth as well. So I'm not looking only for the latency, I would like to see the read and the write, and the copy as well. One thing that I would like to do now is to lower at CAS 12. So game mode, let's go 12. That's not good. I think it didn't like too much C12. Let's try to push some extreme voltages and see if we can go at C12. I mean, there's an important thing that I missed. When you go to that timings, is a window issue, because Windows with timing lower than 14 can't really works unless you limit the memory size at 4 GB. So it's called max mem. Now I show you how to limit the max memory of the system at 4 GB and push extreme timings. Usually, of course, it's not for daily. Is for extreme overclocking, but it's nice to see. Yes, CAS 14 3600 is nice. Okay. Yes, in Zen 1 in theory is fixed, so there's not the coupler, it stays only at that, and this is why you cannot go much higher in Zen 1. And the best way to tweak Zen 1 was 3400 MHz, 3600 MHz, C14. Similar to this, at the end they changed the memory controller, they changed everything, but we are still clocking the memory at 3600 maximum C14. So literally didn't change anything. The good thing about Zen 2 is at least I tested I have a lot of memory kit here and some very nasty one. With Zen 2 they are compatible, so the good thing about Zen 2 that you can buy whatever the kit you want, you can find, and it works. Then of course, if you find a BDI kit, it's better. But at least, if you find something real cheap and you mount, it works. At least we got that. 3200 MHz C14 is nice. So yes, 3600 C16 I think is perfect. Because as we just saw that going from 3600 C16 to 3600 C14, there was no gain in latency. So without gaining latency, just useless to move from 16 to 14 to give more voltage, to have more instability. So I think the sweet spot is 3600 C16. Low voltage, no issue. Almost any BDI kit can do that. I don't know in Linux if you have that. I don't know. Honestly, I never benched hard on Linux. I used Linux, but I do not do benchmark on Linux, so I don't know. So same as usual, you do everything. So this one. Let's try to push something really extreme to see if it's working. 2 volts. BDI can take a lot of voltage, so this is quite normal for a BDI. This kit works good at 2.03 volt, for example. And we push the timings in Ryzen Master. Yeah, the sub timings, I would like, first I tweak the timings, then I tweak the sub timings, because if you tweak the primary timings and it didn't work, probably there's no need to tweak the sub timings. So first we need to find something with sub timings relaxed and the primary timings. If it works, we can work on the sub timings. So no, I think he didn't like it. He doesn't like the voltage. 2 volts is not safe, so never do that. I can do it because I know that there's the risk and I can accept the risk. It's for extreme overclocking, and this kit is a selected kit. Do not do that. You risk to lose your memory and it's not good. In this situation, do not do that at home. We are trained professional. I think you have to reset. Too bad. I tried with a more conservative voltage, let's say 1.6 and 1.2, and I do the set mem tweaks. Yeah, the thing is with the Zen Plus, so the 2700X, actually you have less latency than this one, because the core complex and everything generate latency. But here we have bigger cache. So even if we have a slightly higher latency, memory latency, is fine because we have more cache. The problem is that we have to feed that cache. So we need the speed of the fabric higher to be able to feed all that cache. So even if Zen Plus have a lower latency, perform worse because of the cache and the APC improvement and everything. The write test is bad because we have only one CCX. When you will have your 3900X, you have 2 CCX, so the resulting write will be double than mine. This is a good thing about the 3900X and the 3950X when in September. So let's try to be a bit more conservative on the sock, and if we can boot like this. And if I cannot boot like this, I can lower the voltage a bit to 1.6 and we can try the maximum. Yes, well, it's just an explanation that is good to know. Because AMD did a good thing to do like the game cache. They called game cache, but cache. No, I think it's the 2 volt that the system doesn't really like. Yeah, probably. Because the architecture is different, but anyway, the important is the numbers at the end. The latency, the memory write and read is good to know, is good for benching, but for real world, what matters are FPS, second of rendering, and that's it. It is very hard to fry a memory controller. It's very, very hard. I fried one, but it was really in extreme condition. But it's very hard to fry a memory controller. You can degrade a memory controller over time, but to fry it is difficult. I think I started doing sub-zero cooling in 2006, 2004, 2005, 2006. So we're talking about 13 years. Yes, memory do degrade, but I think it's very difficult to degrade a memory kit because I use my memory kit at 2 volt, sub-zero, everything, and honestly they perform the same as they perform as new. So maybe they degrade from 10 years, they will last 4 years, but who cares? In 4 years we will have DDR5. I don't really care to degrade a component because probably it will die the user of that component before. I'm an old school overclocker. I start overclocking, well, not extreme overclocking, but overclocking with the Athlon XP in 2001. 18 years ago. I have one. This one. This is a Athlon XP. You can see it. This is one of the best CPU to overclock back in the day. Amazing value. Yes, Barton Core. One of the most funny to overclock. So I had to reset everything because you saw I basically used the same setting that I was using before, but this time I didn't get a boot. And it's crazy because you can do the thing in the same way and you have a different result. So this is the problem of this BIOS. If I touch something, it simply do the opposite thing. It's random. I don't like that. So, well, we should do an all-day overclocking day. Now I show you something very interesting, and I want to know if you recognize the board. So, let's try again. But at this point, I think is useless to do something else because it just doesn't work. let's see who remember this board. This is modded. I have a volt mod. I soldered it myself. Check this. I think this was one of the best motherboard for overclocking back in the days. That was the Abit NF7 version 2 Atron XP. Probably the best board for overclocking back in the days. I had to solder the volt mod to be able to reach higher clock. So now you click a button. Back in the day, soldering iron. That was the fun. So the board doesn't really want to collaborate in BIOS, and that sucks, really. Thermal paste, usually I don't care much to do a very precise job. Usually I do some like 5 point. I do like 5 point of thermal paste. When there's enough to cover the area is fine, because when you put the cooler on top, in a matter of 30 minutes it will go, I mean, it will, you will find everything even, you know. So you don't need to put too much or just a small quantity. Just, you know, if you use common sense, is more than enough. But the most important thing is not how you put the thermal paste, because more or less, you know, by pressure it will get even, but the quality of the thermal paste. I use Thermal Grizzly. This is one of the best for liquid cooling. I actually did some extreme overclocking with LN2 and the Atron. Actually, if you saw in my Discord server, the picture I have is a picture when I was overclocking this Atron XP with this pot. This is a homemade liquid nitrogen pot. And this is good enough to do old school because it's small. The cool boot is very nice on this motherboard, because when I do extreme with this board, I just put this here, PLLL 2.2 or 2.3, then I raised in Windows to 2.6, 2.7, and that's it. The Crosshair is very strong. You don't need to tweak too much to do extreme overclocking. You put LN2 mode on and you just fine tune some voltage, but it's very easy. So what we are going to do now, you know what, I want to try this memory kit, the Sniper X. These are Hynix CJR. I'm really curious about this specific kit. Okay, GSAF, thank you for being here and keep us company, and see you. I'm going to do another live very soon, so stay tuned. So now I'm trying the Sniper X. That kit should be 3600 C17, C19, I don't remember. And it's not expensive, because I think it's 115, 110 euro. So the profile is, yes, C19. It's a bit slow on timings. Let's see if it works and how. We need to remember to manually put 1.35 here. Okay, and let's check the latency. PPL SB voltage. You can try, but usually if you need to go below 0, just leave it in auto. I mean, there's no point on touching that voltage if you don't need to fix a cold bug. Okay, that memory kit is not working. Yeah, CPU overclocking is, well, everything is fun. I mean, if you take the whole platform, you have to tune everything. And that's the good thing because maybe you find a way to tune it better than others, but it's the whole system that needs to be tuned, the software as well. Memory is boring because you have a lot of parameters, and if you want to do something nice, you need to start from scratch and then work the way forward, and it takes times. But I think for making some record with the Zen 1, the 2700X, I spent like 2 weeks working like 3 hours per night, working on the memory, check the efficiency, making benchmarks, change a value, efficiency again. You get results, but it takes ages. So the kit doesn't really want to go. Not at this speed, at least. Let's try at 3.2. And we go up in Ryzen Master. I don't think they don't need my findings. They have really very nice overclocker there, and they are pretty smart guys, very nice. Ex overclocker, old overclockers, retired overclocker, let's say. Probably they know way more than us, and they don't share. It's the other way around, I think. No, I think that, strange things that is, yesterday I tried this kit and it was working perfectly. Now it's not working anymore. So there's something wrong with this BIOS. But, if you check the overclock.net forum, there's Elmore. He's a ex-overclocker. Well, actually he clocks again. And he works for AMD, I think, he's an engineer. And he writes himself that the X370 and the X470 BIOS are really messed now, so because of that I don't even try to do extreme overclocking to waste liquid nitrogen because it doesn't make sense. The BIOS is an issue, it's not a BIOS. So, anyway, I don't know. I think there's nothing much to do here. Because we tried everything. We tried Ryzen Master. We tried the BIOS. And I think there's nothing left to do. We saw that there's an improvement also without overclocked, which is actually it gave us like 7-8 points more than the 1900K. Another kit of memory, yes, I can try, but I have slow kit. I have this Fury that is a nice 3200 megahertz, but it's like C20. C18, 3200 megahertz C18. The nice thing about this kit is 1.2 volt, so it's a low voltage kit. This, it works with every mother, because this is JDEC, so this is work with everything. I can try, but they are Micron C die. They don't scale. It's a cheap kit. It works with every board, but it doesn't really shine to be able to clock. So it's not a good overclocker. It is a perfect memory for a cheap build, because you can have 16 gigabyte for like €100 or 90 euro, I think, and you have a 16 gigabyte kit, 3200 megahertz C18, which is nice. The problem is that if I dial something in the BIOS can do everything he wants, and I boot up in Windows with another value. So, well, let's try at least if the default profile of this memory works, since we don't even have to change the voltage because it's 1.2 by default. But I think this memory kit will work for sure. And no, it doesn't work. So I think maybe tomorrow I try to to update the BIOS. Maybe there's something there's a bug, or I don't know. But what I see that is very unstable. I want to try with the FlareX again. The FlareX usually do the best results. But again, I think the BIOS is too broken to allow us to do something serious. I mean, because most of the time the latency and is because of the subtimings, but I cannot touch the subtimings now. So I think to do some really a tweaking session, we need a better BIOS. And I don't know if we will get a better BIOS first, or if Asus finally send me the Crosshair 8. So probably I will have the Crosshair 8 before they release a new BIOS for the Crosshair 7. So let's try this. I think we tried this last time, then I think we can call it a night, because I start getting tired. Probably I will spend the free time that I have tomorrow, so 4 hours, to work a bit on the BIOS and see if I can find some tweaks, some ways to... No, this doesn't want to work. It's very hard to work with a BIOS like this. It's almost impossible, because everything I do, it doesn't work. So I have to go back to my white sticks. Probably there's something that I missed, that I'm missing. I don't know. Yes, Stephen is right. They have the BIOS priority for the X570, so X470 are going to be a bit, taken apart, and so the Crosshair 7 even more. It's 2 generations ago, so well, now even the white kit is not working anymore. So I think probably tomorrow I'm going to reflash the BIOS. Maybe, I don't know, maybe something is broken. I will try to reflash the BIOS and see what happens. If not, well, I think we are done, and I can do another live session with the small one, the Ryzen 3, the APU, which is Ryzen Zen Plus core with the EVGA 9. And I think this will be interesting to tweak, because the CPU requires a very nice memory tweaking. If you really tweak the memory, you can have like medium quality performance on AAA game, and it's kind of cool. Something that I really want to do one day is to set a, like, I don't know, like doing a competition with this CPU to see, to do some like fixed frequency or put some limits and see how is the best memory tweaker. Well, we'll see if I have something in mind. Maybe you can do a giveaway, a prize. We'll see. LN2, what do you want to do with LN2? I think the board is not doing good because I can't post anymore. Probably the BIOS is doing something weird, or I don't know what's happening. So I think I need to reflash the BIOS. This is the 3200X, just 3200G. I mean, for World of Warcraft you don't need too much core, so probably this will do just fine for a budget build. I have this this build here that is a Gigabyte AB350N. Is a nice motherboard, and usually is the one that I test APU. But I will do probably I can do a live with World of Warcraft where we can test the settings, how to tune the memory settings, and how to tune the game to run a decent FPS in RAID. Let's see. Yeah, I already tried everything, but it seems that there's a bug in this motherboard, in this BIOS, that the way to reset is only to use the button on the back, and I cannot even use the retry memory button because it doesn't work. So even Asus tell us that this BIOS is a mess. So I want to try to boot up default with only the voltage of the memory. Let's see if it changed something. But at the end, there's nothing more we can do. Just boot like this, change the value in Ryzen Master, and then we're good to go. But no, it's wasting time to. Yes, well, the board is doing weird things, and honestly, I'm tired now. So I think we are going to. Yes, the BIOS is the latest version, the only and the latest version. There's no BIOS version yet, the beta version yet. So, alright. So I think we are calling it a day. I think we did a lot. We saw a lot of interesting things, at least memory scaling, how to do the memory clocking, how not to do. So high memory frequency absolutely is worthless. And well, even C14, C16 doesn't really have much of a gain in our case. What we can do is wait for a better BIOS, or wait until I have the CH8, so the Crosshair 8, and see then if I can tweak the secondary timing. Yes, I'm really tired, so well, I have to say goodbye. Probably, I don't know if I can do another live on Sunday maybe. Sunday maybe I can try to see how I can clock it. Let's say probably 1.4.1, 4.2, and I want to do the GPU overclocking. Probably on Sunday. Let's see. Thank you everybody. If you didn't have, join my Discord server, so maybe you can ask something, we can brainstorm, we can find new ideas. Always happy to help and listen. And well, thank you and see you next one.